And we're going to design training to support you next month with T-tests. Is it the pre-conference process? Is it the post-conference process? Is it understanding the rubric better? What part of the T-test process will help you get better in that in the teacher evaluation? And then we'll want to work with you on that. But this morning we were going to go through T-tests, and I thought, I don't even know what they need. I will be presenting something to you that may not be meaningful. So if you can think about T-tests, what is it that you need help or more guidance so that it will be a great transition for you. If you write on the sticky note, and I'll come by and collect them so I don't interrupt Doc A as he starts. And then other thing, you will not need your electronic devices for this training. So I've been asked that you turn them off or put them away because you will not need them. Okay? Okay, thank you. And I present to you Doc A.
Certainly, my mic, you can hear me, right? Am I on? Okay. Certainly, today, one of our objectives is to help you do your job better, to be a better assistant principal. I was an assistant principal, as you know, and what I wanted to do when I was an assistant principal, I wanted to be the best assistant principal in the entire district. That was my objective. I wanted to be the best. I think that at the time that I became probably the best, and unfortunately I stayed in that position for about 7 years. When you become good at something, sometimes people will keep you in that position. Mr. Harrison surpassed me. He was an assistant principal longer than I was. We don't want you to, other than those that want to be an assistant principal, certainly we want you to function in the role that you want to be in. Here's what I want you to do. I do not want you to leave the day without having your concerns and your question answered today. When you leave here, I want you to be clear on everything. There should be no doubt. You shouldn't say, oh, I wonder about any area. I have 3 experts with me, okay? You see those 3 experts? Look around. There's one here, Ms. Ramirez, Mr. Harrison, Dr. Hunkapilla. If I don't know the answer, I can assure you that one of my experts know the answer. And I want you, before the end of the day, ask me, why do I know that these young people, I can call anybody young at my age, okay? Why do I know that they are experts? Before we leave today, I want somebody, before you leave at noon, I want somebody to ask me, how do I know that these 2 people are experts? But certainly that's the objective. I don't want you to leave here wondering about anything. Some of you are campus behavior coordinators. You may have some concerns about that. So I want you to be clear on anything that you may have in our area. Our area is what? Student support. That's our area. We are here to help you do your job better. We get a lot of phone calls because people need assistance. And that's what we are about. Student support is here to help you in the areas that will assist with you achieving your objective on the campus. Certainly, academically, we want our students to function at a high level. But we can't get there if our kids are worried about other things, if they have health issues, if they have emotional issues, if there is discipline. So our area is student support. Let me talk a little bit about our area and our profession, period. Our profession is very rewarding. It provides us with an opportunity to impact student lives. you know, as an educator, you probably was already impacted by somebody in the field of education. Probably you wouldn't be in this field if you were not impacted by that. So that's our job, is to impact students' lives. Parents and students look to us and you to solve problems relative to education and behavior. This is what they want from us. We have a responsibility to provide the best educational guidance to parents and students. The best educational guidance to parents and students. Let me say to you, when we go to see the doctor, we have something that is wrong with us. We may have a fever. We may have other issues. And the doctor's job is to analyze our condition and do what? Prescribe the medication that's going to make us feel better. When kids come to us, they come with certain issues. Had a girl, mother came yesterday. She said her child was having a problem reading. And she was upset because the kid had been retained in elementary and kinder. She was very upset about that. Our job is to find solutions to problems. When you call me or you call my support staff, you are looking for some solutions to problems. When kids come to us and parents come to us, they have issues that need to be resolved. Our job as professionals is to do what? Do what? Our job is to solve problems, okay? It's to solve the problem. We need to sit back, we need to take in the information, and we need to provide the solution and help them reach us a solution to the problem. Here's what I want you to think about. Parents are partners in the education of their children. What does that mean to you? And when you hear this statement, what does that look like? What does it look like? We have it in the handbook, and we have it all the time, right? Right? Do we have it in there? They are partners in the education of their child or their children. I want you to talk about that at your table and tell me, what does that look like when we talk about partners in education? Go ahead, at your table. I'm going to give you a few minutes to talk about it. It's dark. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some of them take notes.
Okay, that's good. That's okay. I'm good.
You might want to tell them if they
Okay.
take notes on those
Okay.
devices. That's
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, we're gonna let them. You want to take? I don't mind you jotting down notes. We want so. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? Tell me, are you ready? I know some of you are taking notes on your devices. That's fine. Those of us that have been in this business a long time, you know how we take notes. Tell me, to me, that's such an important statement. Such an important statement, but somehow, some people lose track of that fact when they're dealing with students. Okay, who wants to tell me a little bit of what that means? I want to hear from a few people. What does that mean? Let me hear somebody. Okay?
Well, we were just talking about this issue on the way over here. You've got to build a relationship with your parent as much as you do with your kids that you're dealing with. When you're dealing with disciplinary issues, you've got to build a relationship with that parent such that they know you have their child's best interest at heart and that you are working with them to set their child up for success. And without their support and help in whatever situation you're dealing with, you're not going to achieve that goal. So we're a team.
Sure.
You know, it takes a village to raise a child. It
Okay.
did for me.
Okay.
I needed help, you know,
Okay.
from everybody. And you've got to sometimes help them see your side of things without them always rushing in to be so defensive. If they know you care and they know your heart, they're going to listen.
Okay. Yeah, if they know you care and they know your heart, they're gonna listen. Okay. Okay.
I think most of them do.
Okay. 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 Let's hold on. Let's remember that. All right. Let's hold on to that and let's remember that, because I want to hear from you, because it's important to understand how we do what? How do we build that relationship? It's important to know how to build it, right? Am I right? So, how are we going to do that? But let me hear from another table. I want you to think about that. That relationship is so important. It is. Indeed, it is. It is a primary factor in being successful with the student, because ultimately the objective is that you both are working for the benefit of the child. And when parents understand that, they are more willing to work with you and give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay?
Dr. Alexander, to support Donna, yes, it is all about capturing kids' hearts and relational capacity. And this morning I had a parent conference, and before I told the parent, you know, she knew why I wanted to see her already. Before I got into the discipline, the code of conduct violations, and the child's history, I wanted to get to know the mom a little bit to develop that relational capacity. So when I talked to her, I didn't sound condescending, showing that I was being relevant to her. And for example, the mom is a 40-something-year-old woman who is single, uneducated, but now going back to school, trying to better herself so she doesn't have to work minimum wage at Walmart. And so I used her mom's life story with the child, saying, look what your mom's doing. She's raising a family, she's going to school, she's working around the clock, she's not getting sleep. Mom's not having any fun. And I bet if mom did this before you were born, life would be easier on her to look at her. So you can use your own mother as a role model and as a goal. You need to turn a corner now, using the phrase that we used last year, doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and make the turn now so you don't have to go back to school after your children are born, trying to raise your family and go to school at the same time.
Okay.
And I use, what do you want to do for a living? You know, do you want to be the guy at the park picking up trash, or do you want to have a choice in life, or do you want to settle for a job? And we just went with that, and before we know it, boy was crying, mom was smiling, and I think we turned the corner with the young man.
Okay, okay. Why was he able to turn the corner with the young man and with the parent? Because what? There's something, you know what he did? You know what he did? He did what? He took the time to have the conversation with the parent. We must take the time to engage the parent in a meaningful conversation about their child. When we do that, we're able to reach our objective. Let me say this. When they are partners in education, let me tell you what it is. I believe that when that child comes to see you in the office, one of the first things you're going to do is do what? What are you going to do? Huh? one of the first things I used to do is tell the child, get your mom on the phone. I'd make him I'd have them to dial it. You dial, get your mom on the phone. I love what Mr. Harrison did the other day. He had a discipline issue. Instead of telling the parent what the child did, he allowed the child to tell his parent what he did. When you tell, Calvin is right, when you tell, mom is focusing on the kid and believing what the kid has to say. When the kid said it, mom was focusing on what her child had to say. So if we are going to make great strides in education, we must have the parent support. When we have that, I guarantee you, the child is going to be successful, because the child will work. The child will work for his mother or his dad when he won't work for anybody else. Did I have another one? Give me some light, because I can't see up here without light.
I was just
Okay.
giving some feedback as far as what you were asking with building rapport with the parents.
Okay.
And, today we're having a volunteer orientation training at our campus, and I was told that last year they didn't have it, and I've seen parents working in the workroom, I've seen parents working in the students and the teachers' classrooms. So what I created certificates for the parents, and it's establishing that rapport. Volunteer award. Thank you for helping us get the year started. I sent out an email blast, and along with it, I sent out a blurb from research, a research study that says, as late as 2011, they did a study with different campuses, different schools worldwide, and the results of the study were that those schools that had more parent involvement had higher reading scores. And I sent that out with an email welcoming the parents to come to the orientation training, asking them to become volunteers at our campus. So it's establishing that connection so we can both work towards the common goal that we have, student achievement.
Okay. Did we get that? Did you get that? Here's what I got to say to you. Our schools should not be strange places for parents. Our school, and you got to put this in the forefront. You got to think about, you got to get with your team, okay? Get with your parent organization, and y'all brainstorm about how to get more parents involved. Because when parents are involved, their kids will be successful. You got to do that. That's Kevin's point. You have another hand? Let me hear. Who did I miss? Did you have your hand up? That's okay. That's okay. We all listening. Come on. Today is a day. The day is a day where I want you. And guess what I want to do? I don't want to study feed you. I want us to have dialogue, because I want you to be comfortable. I want you to be comfortable. I had a professor at the University of Texas, and they said that if you take that professor's class, he was so tough, you better take his class by himself. Take it by himself. I walked into his class, and you know what he said? And your teachers need to have this. This is University of Texas, and he's supposed to be the toughest guy on the campus. And I walked into his class and sat down, and you know what he said? If you fail, I fail. Guess what I did in his class? I relaxed. Okay? That's what we're about in support services. We are not going to allow you to fail. Okay? That's the reason so many people pick up the phone and call. We are here to assist you because we're all in this together. All right? What did they say? Failure is not an option. Our district is one of the best in the nation. And why? Because we have a dynamic team. So I want you to feel very comfortable about our dialogue. I want you to, when you leave here, to know that we have had, what did he say? Real talk. Okay? That's what I want you to know. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, real talk.
Okay. Okay.
We all know that those parents that volunteer and are there at the school, we probably have any issues with those kids. The kids that we're having problems with are the parents that we try to reach out to, but don't want to be reached out to. Can we talk about those?
Okay. Okay. Here's, yes. Okay.
I just kind of want to, because it goes back to what he said about the student who has a history of
Okay.
trouble. The turnaround was that the connection he made with that mom, and to help him see his mom. She's busy. We have parents who work. We have a low SC population in the district. It's not that the parents don't want to or just want to send their bad child to school. There's all of these dynamics that create the issue. So then, making that connection with the parent and the child when you have them in that office makes the difference, and then maybe that could be a turnaround for the family.
Okay. You know what? Many parents that we deal with that come to us and have those issues have not, in most cases, been successful academically in their own setting. If they had been, they'd already understand the value of an education, right? Right? So, it is our responsibility as an educator to help them understand the partnership that's needed for us to work together in order for what? In order for what? In order for what, say it? In order for their child to be successful. Now I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something that's tough. I'm going to tell you something that's tough. It takes time and it takes hard work. Okay, listen to this. Dr. Hunkapilla, you had a meeting with a parent yesterday. You started at what time? What time you finished? Did you all make progress? She is a difficult parent. She is difficult. Worked with the last year. But you gotta take the time. Here's what we have to. Here's what we have to try to get over to the parent and the child, because, and I have this in the presentation, because, and you're gonna see it, because education is the great equalizer. I'm gonna tell you, you got a good education, the more you have a good education, the better you're gonna do. Yesterday I saw that the starting salary for an accountant, a person with an accounting degree, is $76,000, and they're gonna give them probably gonna get a 5% raise. You can, okay, yeah, you can work your way out of it. Let me say this. Let me say this. We know the value of education, and we have to help our students and our parents understand the value of having an education. You got to drive that home to the parent, and you can't give up on them. You can't give up on the parent, and you can't give up on the child. Whatever it takes. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me show you something. Let me tell you something. I hate to hug somebody, but Miss Ramirez. I watched Miss Ramirez when she was an elementary principal. Here's the way she used to take her little kids out to the parents' car. She'd walk them out to the car. Now, you gonna tell me that the parents are not gonna understand? She'd walk with them, hugging on them. You gonna tell me Yeah, I was watching. I watched that. You want to be a principal? I'm watching. I am watching everything you do. When I was assistant principal at Grand Prairie High School, when I got ready to leave, I told Buddy Berry, I tell you who can take my place. And I told him. I said, Mr. Harrison is the one. Okay? And I told about Miss Ramirez. I'm watching you. You're okay? That's what. Because here's what I want you to know. Here's what I have to say to you. I have to say to you, and it's on my overhead. And Calvin knows it. He gets on me because he knows I get carried away. I must repeat again. Over 90% of our kids are minority, economically disadvantaged. When our kids drop out of school, the chances of them being unemployed is greater. Therefore, we can't allow them not to be successful. Are you with me? Let's go.
Let's go back to Ms. Sosa
Uh-huh.
about that difficult.
Okay.
Getting that parent there.
Okay.
Because, Ms. Wallace said some things about casual hearts in a relationship, okay? Then you said, well, there's no family, okay?
Okay.
The real deal here, there's no assistant principals or no interns in this room. You gotta take that title off. Take it off. Take it off. Take it off yourself. And put leader. Leader. Think about what a leader does. A leader. Not assistant principal, intern, but what a leader does. To answer your question about that parent that don't show, what's our job? What's our job? What are we in this business for? Kids. KIDS. Students. When we make it about them, check it out what happens. You create that environment in your school. That difficult kid. You challenge that kid because he's got to come to an environment or she's got to come to an environment that you create. That you create. Because you know what? You don't know what they have at home. Some of you don't take the time out to find out what they have at home. What's going on at home? For most of our kids, most of them, they got a very difficult home life. And if you hadn't walked in those shoes, you don't know what it's like. So therefore, you have to create a home within your school for these kids. So they can begin to do what? What do they begin to do? With you. Trust. Who said that? Trust you. Trust you. And you a what? Intern or assistant principal?
She's a leader.
You a leader. You a leader. What did you just say? Don't be scared. They say that. They gotta trust you, right? The kid trusts you no matter how bad or how good they are. Okay? You have built a relationship with that kid. They're not gonna stop being bad. Kids are not gonna stop being bad. And you gotta determine what bad is. Are they making bad decisions? Are they harming others? Killing somebody? Because I was a bad kid. Real bad. Tell you, I'm still bad. They're not gonna stop being bad. That's just human nature because it's a defense mechanism for most kids that comes out of poverty. That's at risk.
Kevin, let's
You gotta build something within your school, okay, to challenge that kid. You can keep challenging that kid. I guarantee you that kid eventually go home and say, Miss Sosa is okay.
Kevin,
To the mama, and then the mama gonna come up there and say, my kid did mention you. Because a lot of these parents we have now, they're not coming. We gotta keep trying to bring them in. But what we have within our school is the key. The environment we create inside of our school for our babies is the key. And we're the key mechanism for that. Each and every one of you are. Think about that.
It's amazing because my next note is, I asked, what business are we in? And you've already answered that because Mr. Harrison just talked. We're in the business of what? Okay. I love to talk about. When people say we're in the business of kids, okay? A business of kids. What? Here's what I would say. If we're in the business of kids, then the majority of our time should be spent engaging in conversation with who? If that's not happening, If I come to your campus and the majority of teachers and educators on the campus is talking to one another, then we're in the business of social gathering rather than in the business of kids. If we're in the business of kids, I used to watch successful administrators. Some, when they're in the cafeteria, some administrators will supervise in this manner. Those leaders, I'll use that, who are in the business of kids, they'll be going around saying, well, how's your grades? Huh? What did you make in the history today? Okay, tell me, you having a good day? How's your family? Can I do anything for you? Sometimes they'll tell me, say, can you let me have $1, Dr. Alexander? I'd give them the money. And guess what? About 2 days later, I'd be in the hallway. I forgot about who I lent the money to. Here's your money. If we truly are in the business of kids, I want you to talk about, you already told you what it looks like. You see what it looks like? During the passing period and at recess, what are my elementary people? Okay. That's where we are. We ought to be engaging them in the conversation because we're in the business of kids. Am I right? All right. Give me some light. Give me some light. Let's talk about it. You saw this in the beginning. Look at that, the first one. The only way we cannot lose a child is that we all work together. We all have to work together to do that. I want you to walk down the hallway. You make sure those doors are locked. You slam those doors if they're not locked. You walking down the hall, I'm going to talk to you about supervision. You walking down the hall during the passing period and the teacher's not out doing the supervision, you find out why. Okay, I'm going to tell you. When I come to your school, if they're not out there, I'm going to walk in your classroom and find out why the teacher is not out. Okay? Because they ought to be out there. Our job is not to lose a child. That's the greatest tragedy that a parent can experience. I know that. Improve each year. All of us is working towards improving every year. You want to be better than you were last year. We got to get better. We have a responsibility to get better. Chartered schools can't do what you do. I know they can't. But we got to let people know. Our leadership is one of the best in this nation, and certainly top in the state. She's excellent. She has ideas. That's the reason she's the superintendent, because she has ideas that her deputy not even thought of. But I always say, how did she think of that? Okay? How did she think? That's the reason she's a superintendent, because she can think of things. I used to watch leaders, and as principals, superintendents, I used to wonder, why did they do that? Why did they do that? And then when I observed long enough, it come to light. Okay? Trust leadership. That's what we talked about, the great equalizers. I want you to understand that because it's so critical. It's so critical. A lot of us and a lot of you come from families where your parents was not educated, and you know what they went through. You know what they had to struggle. You know, as a result of being educated, the power of education. I used to say I'd rather be dead than to not be a well-educated person. I used to say that. I used to read 2 books every week. When I was laying in the hospital, I changed my mind. I decided being alive was more important. Okay? Look at that. I believe, and you know this, if you have a safe and orderly environment, high achievement is going to happen. If you do not have order, I guarantee you, if you don't have a safe and orderly environment, guarantee you, the scores are not going to be high. It's not going to reflect it. You can't have high achievement and have disorder. I worked at a school in Dallas, in Oak Cliff. What a challenge. What a challenge. I worked at a school in West Dallas. Had a principal. West Dallas Projects. Did I tell you? West Dallas Projects. He made the difference. He did. His leadership. He refused to have chaos in his school. That's what we have to do. We have to refuse to allow chaos to exist. I'm going to tell you this, and I know my time is getting short here in Grand Prairie ISD, but my commitment has been that I'll never allow GPISD school district to get to the nature of some other school district. I said that. Okay. Is that all right? You have a responsibility to do that. We talked about, Senate Bill 107. We know about the campus behavior coordinator. How many of you are campus behavior coordinators? Okay, all right. You have an understanding of your job and your responsibilities? Okay? Is it challenging? Is it enjoyable? God, I mean, that's what I say. And I hope you like it. I am. I just simply love this stuff. Maybe that's, how do I say that? Huh? Let's make sure that we follow the guidelines in our Senate Bill 107. Let's make sure that we are having our hearings in a timely manner. Let's make sure that we allow the student to say what happened. The student has a right to give his or her side of the story. You gotta do that. You gotta do that. Here's what I always say, and Mr. Harrison knows this. I say evidence is the tool that should drive your decision. One of the components of an effective leader is a strong sense of fairness. A strong sense of fairness. What does that mean? What does that mean? Having a strong sense of fairness. Huh? What does that mean to you? Give me campus behavior coordinators. Raise your hand again. Okay, let me do this. A person that has a strong sense of fairness has the ability to sit and allow the parent and the student to present their point of view. What is it, to be a good listener? I believe that when you're a good listener, you do what? How do you be a good listener? Huh? A lot of people think they're listening. How do you be a good listener? Say it again. Say it again. Say it again.
Listen to understand rather than listen to respond.
Did y'all hear what she said? That is very powerful. You listen to understand rather than to respond. A lot of people can't listen because they too busy thinking about the response. I already know the answer. You violated the code of conduct. There's nothing else to be said. That's what some people think. You know what got me? You know what got me? Really got me one time, and I want you to never make this mistake. I want you to never make this mistake. I had dealt with kids all day, and I was in that mood. I was in the zone in dealing with kids. You know what I'm talking about? A parent came before me, and I was still in that zone. The parent told me, I'm not a child. I'm not a child. I realized at that moment that I had not turned myself off from, I had not taken the time to turn myself off from dealing with kids to dealing with an adult. So, from that day on, I would take a little time, when I got ready to deal with a parent, I would take a deep breath and I would turn on my ability a little bit more, okay? Because she's right. She was right. I don't want you to make that mistake. You know, when you listen, Mr. Harrison and Ms. Ramirez had a hearing. It started, and they had 1 hour set aside for it. They had another one behind it that was 1 hour set aside for it. They were 1 hour and 30 minutes into their first one. We're still 1 hour and 30 minutes into the first one. Guess why? Because they were doing what? What were they doing? Huh? They were listening. They were listening. And when they came out and they told me what they had heard, it was amazing what they had heard. Listen, what they had heard. What they had heard was very, very important. In the code of conduct, it says intent, lack of intent, student attitude, and student history when making a decision on discipline. Didn't it say that? Didn't it say all that? Some people want to do the same thing to everybody. If I went before the judge, I would want people to say, boy, he's a good guy. Here's what I say. Effective leaders are able to solve problems. They are able to evaluate situations and arrive at a good decision. Arrive at a good decision. Let me say this. Let me say this. Dr. Hull does not hear any appeals. When I was the hearing officer, she didn't hear any. She didn't need to hear them. Okay? She didn't need to. Why? Because I was going to listen, okay? And I was going to arrive at the best decision. Here's what Mr. Harrison and Ms. Ramirez, Hunkapilla is there, Dr. Hunkapilla. You know what I tell them now? I trust your decision making. I trust your decision making. When I put you in a position of authority, I trust your decision making. Don't be afraid to make a good decision, but take your time and make sure it's a good decision. You don't have to rush to make decisions. There's no rush, right? Good decisions take time. I'll tell you, and I'll tell you this, and I'm going to say it one more time. Why do you think a judge say, I'm going to recess and I'll go in my chambers and I'll come back and I'll give you my decision? That's what you do. That's what you do. You take your time. All right? Here's some data. You can't hardly see it. But the data talks about violence on campus. 1,420 non-fatality victimizations at school, 454,000 theft and victimizations. We know that when students are supervised, the likelihood of things happening diminishes significantly. We also know that this data is behind because there continues to be violence perpetrated at schools. We don't want that to happen in GPISD. We don't want that to happen. Okay? We don't want it to happen. So here's what we have to do. We have to take every steps to ensure student safety. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to write this down. Threats. We take every threat seriously. Somebody said they're going to blow up the school. Boy, we got it. We're going to take you at your word. Somebody said they're going to shoot up the school. We take you at your word. We're going to take them seriously until we determine that it's not a serious threat. But here's what we have to do. Here's what we have to do. Okay? Here's what we have to do. We have to make sure that we consider whether a student is unstable or a student is a threat to our campus. I want you to do this. I want you to always listen to your teachers. Why? Why do I want you to do that? Why do I want you to do that? Again, when I was at Jackson, a student shot up my campus. I was sitting in a teacher's classroom and the teacher told me, say, he's not right. This is before he shot up my school. She told me he wasn't right. Now, if you tell me a kid is not right, guess what? Huh? Guess what I do? That kid is gone. All right. All right. Y'all need a break? I think Mr. Harrison is pointing and pointing. What is the what? Okay. Let me say to you. Let me say to you, and I want to give you a break, but let me say to you something. There has been incidents where elementary kids have brought guns to school and accidentally shot classmates. Okay? One of the things that I want you to always do this. When you talk to a parent, when a kid has made a threat, what are you going to ask that parent? Say it again. That is one of the main things. Did y'all hear that? And if the parent says yes, what do you ask now? Okay, I have guns in my home. What do I do with them? Say it again. I secure them. Every time I walk out of my house, my guns are secure. When I'm there, every time I walk out, they secure. Why? Why? You know why? Because I know I'm a responsible adult with a gun. I can't trust my 21-year-old twins. I don't want to. But that's what you ask. Does the child have access to guns? That's what you got to ask that. Then you're going to talk to Mr. Harrison, Dr. Hunkerpillow, Ms. Ramirez, okay? Let me say, what is a viable threat? We have to determine, is it a viable threat? We have to do that together. You okay? Because we do that together because we cannot take the chance of somebody losing their life. This is one of the most important things that we do, is ensure school safety. That's the reason that Mr. Harrison will tell you, he likes to say this, and I quote him on this, engage every person that comes to your campus, because you want to know why they're there. Why are you here? And he engages everybody that he sees. Okay? Always I'm gonna say this too. Always know your resource officer and always be able to contact your resource officer. Okay? Always be able to do that. That's your responsibility too as a leader. Do you need a break? Talk to me. You need a break? Don't be. Okay, let you have a break. Okay? Take about 10 minutes, ladies. Okay? Too long? She said 8 minutes. She said too long. All right, 8 minutes. All right? The ladies. Ladies. Okay. What I do with my glasses? Miss Ramirez, I laid my glasses down. Okay. Frame.
And supervision is next. About what does it look like?
Listen. Okay. I didn't bring my disproportionality. Okay, what's next?
The supervision and what does it look like?
Okay, hit it then.
If you want me to bypass some, just let me know.
Okay. Miss Ramirez. Miss Ramirez. Okay. Here's supervision over here. Then disproportionality is here. So I'll go to.
You want to do what?
I can go to supervision.
Yeah, because it's like the critical times during the day. You
Okay.
can let them discuss.
Okay. Okay.
Two more or less go together. And
Okay.
high visibility.
Okay. Those two I want.
And then the disproportionate.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So,
I want the supervision. Okay. What does it look like?
yeah.
Yeah, I got it. I'm about to speed it up.
As they're talking,
Mhm.
I'll move it. As they're talking, I'll move it to the next one.
Okay. I want to see that. I'm going to tell them. That's what I'm going to tell them about supervision and high visibility. I want those two posted in their office. Okay? They're that important to me. Okay? Okay. Who is that?
More?